what is music production? Music production is the gathering of the sounds, instrumentation, and performances that create a record, create the presentation of a song for the listener. And it's the process by which you decide what the overall goal is and all the steps in between: the writing of the song, the recording of the song, the mixing of the song, the mastering of the song. And it's the process and the idea of how you gather all those sounds to have a full sounding song. Not that it has to have a lot of instrumentation, but that it is presented in a way that has that leaves an impression, has size, has depth to it, and focuses on the energy of the song. A song without production, most of the time, wouldn't sound like a record. It's just a song idea. It can be performed, but it's not going to have some of the hallmarks and content that make it feel like it can be presented in any environment and really create an experience for the listener where it draws them into the vibe and energy of the song. It's about how it makes me feel and the way that I'm engaging with the artist and what it is that they want the outcome to be. It's really important for me as a record producer to work on the behalf of the artist as well, and the song. I mean, I think the song for me comes first, because the strength of a record needs to be based on the strength and potential of a song. But the decisions I make around that, what type of instrumentation, the key and the tempo, all those things all are also tied to the artist. I can't treat it completely separate in just executing a record around a song. It also needs to, I feel like it needs to fit and relate to the artist, because for me as a record maker, I want the music to go out into the world and impact people, and for them to feel some of the same feelings that I was feeling and trying to pour into the work. But ultimately, for a song to be successful in ways just beyond getting listeners' attention, the way that something will become really successful is that they also can find interest in the artist and feel like that the record, the art that the artist has made, there's a relationship there that they feel is congruent and that is appealing. So it's important to me to understand what the artist's aesthetic is and what they would hope for their success to be. And it's not necessarily all about what we choose to do with the music. You really have to take into account a lot of things outside of the record. But for me, I'm always looking for these feelings and these unique things and perspectives to be able to make the choices that you make about the way you make an electric guitar sound or a keyboard, how aggressive the drums sound or the beats are, or not having too much of a percussive element in a production. For me, it's about having reference points in my mind and my feelings that I can kind of go back to as I'm evaluating building the production, adding instrumentation, and deciding how many vocal tracks do I want to have in a background part. How big do I want to make that particular image of that part of the sound? I mean, is it just one voice that's on the right side of the speaker or the stereo image, and it's drawing your attention to it in juxtaposition to something else that's going on? Or is it kind of a wall of voices that just sounds really huge and impressive, and almost, it doesn't necessarily have to be loud, but it kind of overtakes everything else that's going on? It's just small little things like that. It really creates a listener's experience, and you have the ability to tell them what's important and what's not important, and you have the ability to create, tension and release by by how loud and distorted something is or how much effects are on it. And by creating these very unnatural sounding environments, it gives you a sense of suspended reality, or something that's not really possible in the everyday, just like in everyday life, or hearing someone play a song in a room. It becomes extraterrestrial perhaps, or it takes it into the imagination, and then you can juxtapose that with sounds that are very natural and very close. The combinations are limitless, and so for me, having some goals of feeling and reference points to take the journey, making the record, and discover what feels inspiring to myself and the artists and everyone that's contributing is very much a part of it. And then at the same time, I am also just very open to the opportunity that the whole process provides. So for me as a creator, in terms of the recording studio, I understand all the tools at my disposal in the recording studio and know how they work and how they work together and what is possible with them individually and their combinations. But I don't approach the creative process through the tools I use, and I don't look at it as a process of where I have this equipment and I'm looking to capture something specifically. I'm looking at the song and the artist and the creative opportunity, and then based on what I feel like needs to happen, then I go and get the tools that I need to sort of help me realize what that vision is. For me to be successful, I realized along the way, when I was learning to engineer and learning to mix, that at a certain point, you need to have mastery of that stuff to be able to use it to its fullest effect. But I had to switch off thinking about things technically first. I want to think about things creatively first. I want to feel something, and I want to be moved and pushed towards something. I want to be drawn to something, and then I'll pick up the tools and decide what I need to experiment with, or what things I can put together to help me achieve the sound and the feeling that I'm going for. And it really, for me, it starts there. So I try not to think too much about the technical stuff, even though I know it all very well. It really should be secondary, because for me, if I'm thinking about what the way to use something, or what something is meant to do, or what its purpose is, then I'm not really looking at it in the way that it could help me in a creative opportunity. I want to be able to dream and feel something and engage a performance and an artist, and then create something and use the tools to get me there. You get the question a lot of whether you need a professional studio to make a great record. It's not totally necessary to be in a traditional studio to make a great recording. Obviously, you might need to go there for certain, go to a facility like that for certain recording jobs, or to have access to certain equipment, but that's only part of the process.